Could you imagine that somewhere among the forests there could be a real underground city with all the necessary infrastructure? Who could carry out such a complex project? Let's take a look at the multistory bunker, built on Stalin's secret order, right under his own dacha. This is what the facility with the surrounding area looks like in a cross-section. No one has been inside the facility for over 30 years. For many, many years, the structure with the code name object number 31 is under a giant column of water. The shaft alone, 12 meters deep, is flooded by half. There are several versions as to why the bunker remains in such a state. According to one of them, in 1989, leaving the state Dacha, the employees of the 9th Department of the KGB deliberately flooded the underground facility due to its secrecy. According to another version, the groundwater gradually did the job for them. One way or another, by the mid-2000s, when the state Dacha was put into long-term preservation, the protective structure was already flooded. Object number 31 is a buried gas bomb shelter built on the grounds of one of the party dachas. The bunker, with total area of 297.6 sq.m, was located at the depth of 12 meters and had 5 exits to the surface. The most amusing of these exits is the 5th. Somewhere in the middle of the corridor, there is a manhole that leads to a system of water manifolds under the territory of the complex. At one point, part of the manifold goes down to a level below. After walking a few dozen meters through the cramped brickwork collector, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. As it turns out, it's an open manhole in the street. We go further around a bend. Just around the corner, we see a manhole like this in the floor. Entering it, we find ourselves in a technical room from which we can get into the building. Another interesting entrance is the emergency one from the outhouse. Unlike the hatch, this entrance is just a hole in the floor covered with wooden pallets with linoleum on top. Behind the hole in the floor is a stairwell like this. At the very bottom, you find the water surface. Soon it will be gone. After the bunker has been almost completely drained, the bottom of the shaft can now be navigated in boots. When you have completely passed the underwater excavation, you find yourself in the corridor connecting the technical blocks of the facility. If you go all the way through this corridor, you will come to an emergency freestanding exit. Interestingly, the facility is equipped with sealed doors for every taste and color. Whereas the cargo shaft encounters a less massive door with a swinging handwheel, the emergency exit has a thin transom door. There is a belief that the security doors in the facility were replaced during its operation. The facility has a single level, although the ceiling height in some rooms is about 3.5 meters. In some places, the rooms are divided horizontally, and there are technical rooms on the level above, which can be accessed through hatches by special ladders. In the middle of the corridor connecting the two shafts, there are several passages. The first passageway is enclosed by a massive double hermetic door. From the back side, this miracle construction looks like this. Behind a double door, there is a room of the diesel power plant. The power plant itself is not inside. In the next doorway, there is a room with the filtration and ventilation units of the According to the FVU, it is especially clear how long this place has been in scuba diving. Next door to the diesel power plant and the HLF is a small room of a former electrical switchboard. After passing through the technical block, in any of the rooms, we get to the second corridor parallel to the first one. It also connects several shafts with each other, but unlike the first, it has an exit to the living blocks of the object. This underwater monster looks impressive. Either the roots of plants or some kind of special mold sprouted right along the walls. In contrast to the technical block, the living quarters were completely empty. The only thing that more or less survived in the living quarters were the interiors of the bathrooms. Behind the hermetic door, there is an underwater excavation leading to the emergency exit found under the linoleum. The walls of this passage are finished with ceramic tiles. Despite the fact that the tiles have almost died from corrosion and mold, it all looks very monumental. At the end, the corridor leads to a shaft which leads to the outhouse. This time it is already completely drained. The main corridor leading from the central Dacha mansion into the property is paved with huge marble slabs. Once upon a time, more than 80 years ago, Stalin himself walked along this very corridor, smoking a Herzegovina floor. The marble corridors are fantastically beautiful. After walking through the corridor, you find yourself in front of this relief metal door, which is just as stunning as the corridor itself. The button to the left of this door makes it easy to guess what's behind the door. And thighs is an elevator shaft, which rests in the stonework in the floor of the main mansion of the party Dacha. And these are the views of Stalin's Dacha itself. When you find yourself in such a place for the first time in the past 30 years, you discover something new which none of the mere mortals has seen before you. It is incomparable. At the moment, the bunker is in a completely flooded state.